Hello, my name is Mathias Krabbe, and I'm an MPI PhD candidate here. What inspires me most about social anthropology is that we ask questions that usually are taken for granted, questions that otherwise wouldn't have been asked. Sometimes it's questions that seem obvious to people who we are studying with, but might not be obvious to everyone else. And by asking these sorts of questions, we can sometimes break this grand narrative. Sometimes we know something or we think we know something, and then we can show by asking people in specific contexts, asking them, listening to their stories, tell them, and we can say, oh, maybe it's not like that. My current research project is about Swiss franc mortgage borrowers. It's people in Poland who have taken mortgages indexed to or denominated in a foreign currency, in this case the Swiss franc. These loans were quite popular in the 2000s, but due to the global financial crisis and the Swiss bank decision of unpegging the Swiss franc currency from the euro has caused a lot of problems for these borrowers. Currently there are more than 500 active mortgages. These mortgages were initially promised to be favourable, a good interest rate, but happened to cause a lot of problems. Borrowers saw their debt double and in some cases even triple, which made it impossible to repay. The insights that I hope I will be able to provide is what kind of logics finance necessitates, how people respond to financialization, how people will actually react to this kind of interest rate. Because what we are seeing in Poland is that people are not just thinking about their own national currency, but suddenly have to think about two currencies at once. They have to think about the national currency of zloty and the Swiss franc, which is the Swiss currency. And suddenly they have to keep in mind the value of their own currency in relation to the Swiss currency. And this is kind of an interesting thing to kind of capture. And then there has been other studies about people who have taken out these mortgages. These mortgages were quite popular both in Eastern European and Central European countries. So there has been some research done. But what we are seeing in Poland is that people here have been promised certain things, certain policies were tried to be enacted, but really didn't. So people have gone to court. We've seen a lot of litigation, so there's a lot of movement and new activity going around. So what I'm hoping to kind of provide of insight is, how do people contest their debt? How do people actually go to court? How are people actually discussing these kind of loans? And this is what I hope that I can bring into how finance and legal meets that debt and debt management.